concerns that her Senate seat was reassigned following a reshuffle triggered by the opposition members switching to the majority wing. She resisted her relocation, leading to a confrontation between her and the Senate president. However, in a suit filed before the Federal Capital Territory High Court today, the President of the Senate and the senior legislative aide of the Senate President, N1.3B, were listed as the second and third defendants. In the suit, Senator Akpabio, through her lawyer, Victor Giwa, alleged that defamatory statements were made by the Senate President and published by his aide on Facebook. She urged the court to restrain the defendant and their associate from making further defamatory statements against her on any platform. The lawmaker further asked the court to order the defendant to pay her 100 billion naira in general damages and 300 million naira as litigation cost. Meanwhile, the Senate has unanimously voted to refer Senator Natasha to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges and the public petitions for disciplinary review following her recent seating arrangement dispute. The Kogi senator had engaged in a shouting match on February 20 after discovering that her seat had been changed without her consent. The committee, chaired by Senator Neda Imasuen, was given 2 weeks to report back on its findings. The decision was reached following a voice vote after lawmakers revisited the controversy surrounding the recent altercation between Akpabio and the Senate leadership over seat allocation, with lawmakers underpinning the need to uphold parliamentary rules and decorum. Senate spokesperson Senator Yemi Adaramudu, who raised the motion, urged the Senate leadership to enforce discipline, warning that where there is sin, there must be a penalty. Supporting Senator Adaramudu, the Senate leader, Senator Kwemi Bamidele, also weighed in, reaffirming the Senate's commitment to its rules and internal order. In response, the Senate President, Akpabio, directed the Committee on Ethics and Privileges to review the entire incident and report back.
The media trolled the Senate variously and precariously from that Thursday. And I, as the spokesperson of the Senate, I had to go about trying to mend those broken pieces of the images and integrity of the 10th Senate, which I think should not have happened. And like I said, I reiterated that the Senate is not for skit making. It's not for content creation, whereby you show off before cameras, for the media to take pictures, take shots, snapshots, TikTok, and so on and so forth. And then we exhibit so that we can play the other dog, and then the general public, who might be very oblivious of the guiding rules of the Senate, can poo-poo the Senate. So this brouhaha went on up till today. And I know, because as we are here, some media houses are still even inviting me to come and explain off further what transpired. But, Mr. President, my hunch is not whether the senator can raise any issue within the chamber, because we know we enjoy absolute privilege. But absolute privilege is not absolute disobedience.
Is that there is no one of our colleagues here who does not have an opinion on this issue. Whether they even speak out or not, everybody has an opinion. But we are all united on one thing. Our rules must be respected, because that is what binds us together. People who serve for 8 years as governor, chief executive in states, people who serve as honorable ministers of this federal republic, and they will still go to the nooks and crannies of their villages and constituencies to go and contest election, to come to this hallowed chamber. It is because there is something about the Senate. And under our watch, we are not going to allow this institution to be discredited We are not going to leave behind for those coming after us an institution that is any weaker than what we inherited.
In another development, the lawmaker representing Abia North, Senator Orji Uzokalu, has asked former military president Ibrahim Babangida to call out names of those responsible for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 election. In a memoir he launched last week, Babangida admitted that late MKO Abiola won the election 32 years conducted 32 years ago. Bakalu urged him to publish a second volume of the memoir that would address unanswered questions surrounding the annulment of the June 12 election. The former governor of Abia State also called on the president, Bola Tinubu, to officially recognize the late Abiola as one of Nigeria's past presidents, urging that Abiola's portrait be placed alongside those of other former leaders in the presidential villa. He lauded the actions of former President Muhammadu Buhari for conferring a posthumous national honor on Abiola, but stressed that further recognition was necessary. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says it is incorrect for former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to label former military president Ibrahim Babangida as Tinubu's tormentor. During the public presentation of Babangida's autobiography, A Journey in Service, at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja last week, Osinbajo, who was the book reviewer, recalled how Tinubu, then a senator, resisted the dissolution of the Senate by the military government following the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. He jocularly said Tinubu who was then tormented by the military, including Babangida, for attempting to reconstitute the dissolved Senate, was at the event to honor one of his tormentors. Speaking this morning in his chart, Mr. Onanuga quoted a statement by the former vice president saying that Babangida was an inspiration for the president, charting a course in politics. The presidential advisor noted that the torment actually began under General Sani Abacha when Tinubu, along with some colleagues, attempted to reconvene the Senate in Lagos. Mr. Onanuga further commended Babangida's admission that MK Abiola won the 1993 presidential election, but said his admission came late. Meanwhile, the aide of President Bola Tinubu, Bayo Onanuga, said former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai is heartened for being left out during Tinubu's ministerial appointment. El-Rufai was initially nominated as a minister by Tinubu while the president was forming his cabinet, but was eventually screened out by the Senate. With the fallout of the ministerial appointment, El-Rufai has in recent times become critical of the Tinubu administration and the All Progressives Congress. In a recent interview, El-Rufai claimed that it was not the Senate that rejected him as a minister, but President Tinubu himself. But speaking in his chat this morning, Onanuga said even though El-Rufai worked hard for Tinubu's emergence as president, it is time for him to move on from the disappointment of not being a minister. While acknowledging that it is not out of place for El-Rufai to feel aggrieved, having worked hard for the election of Tinubu, Onanuga said that the president is not in denial of his effort. The presidential advisor further said the president had nothing against El-Rufai, but the ex-Kaduna governor is going about everywhere, campaigning against the president because he feels hot. And turning to politics, the new Nigeria People's Party NNPP has dismissed the suspension of the lawmaker representing Kano South Senatorial District, Senator Kawu Sumaila, and the three other federal lawmakers as null and void, insisting that the move lacks legitimacy. On Monday, the Kano State chapter of the NNPP suspended Senator Sumaila, along with three members of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ali Gini, Honorable Sani Rogo, and Honorable Kabiru Orurum. The party's Kano chairman, Hashimu Dugurawa, told journalists that the four lawmakers were suspended for alleged anti-party activities. However, in a swift response today, the NNPP's National Publicity Secretary, Ogini Olaposi, dismissed the action as baseless and politically motivated. Olaposi stated that the purported suspension was aimed at disparaging the bona fide NNPP, noting that the National Working Committee of the party was not informed of any anti-party activities by the lawmakers. Olakposi also accused those by the suspension of being loyalists of the Kwakwansia movement, a faction linked to former NNPP presidential candidate Senator Rabi Kwakwanso. According to him, the political alliance between the NNPP and the Kwakwansia movement ended after the 2023 elections. The Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has reiterated that there will be no extension of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination registration beyond March 8. This was stated in a press release issued in Abuja today by the board spokesperson Dr. Fabia Benjamin. According to Benjamin, the registration period, which commenced on 3rd of February, will close on March 8 as previously announced. He disclosed that the notice was particularly important given the recent decline in the number of candidates registering for the examination. He revealed that over 1.5 million candidates have already registered, which aligns with the board's projections for the 2025 examination cycle. Dr. Benjamin further urged candidates to complete their registration as soon as possible and adhere to the set deadline for the 2025 UTME. On a rather sad note, fire gutted some shops in the Ladipo market today, destroying goods worth millions of naira. The Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Olufemi Oke Osonyitolu, who confirmed these in a statement, said the agency received a distress calls around midnight concerning the fire outbreak. He said investigations revealed that the inferno was caused by an electric power surge after public electricity power supply was restored to the area. Oke Osonyitolu, however, noted that there was no record of injury or loss of life during the incident. To the core, the magistrate court sitting in Sabo Yaba, Lagos State, on Tuesday acquitted popular musician Abdulaziz Fashola, popularly called Naira Marley, in relation to the death of Ileri Oluwaloba, better known as Mohbad. Magistrate Ejiro Kubenje, who read and implemented the legal advice issued by the Lagos State Directorate of Public Prosecution, said Naira Marley had no case to answer. Alongside Naira Marley, the court reportedly freed music promoter Samson Balogun, known as Sam Larry, Owodunni Ibrahim, also called Prime Boy, and Mohbad's former manager, Okpere Babatunde. The DPP, however, said it shall be prosecuting the auxiliary nurse who treated Mohbad, Ayo Gedengbe, and one of Mohbad's friends, Ayobami Sadiq, for the offense of reckless and negligent act contrary to Section 251, subsection E of the Criminal Law, CHC 17, Volume 3, Laws of Lagos State 2015. The duo will be prosecuted at the magistrate court. Now, still in the court, Justice Inyangeko of the Federal High Court Abuja has restrained the Nigerian Police Force from tendering a DNA test result against a former special duties and intergovernmental affairs minister Kabiru Turaki. The ex-minister is involved in a paternity dispute with a lady, Hadiza Bafa. Justice Ekwa gave the order after counsel for the police force, Inspector General Police, and DCP Rita Oki Onyitare, M.L. Anthony, who have first to third respondents respectively, sought an adjournment to enable them to comply with the earlier court order. Turaki, through his lawyer, Abdulaziz Ibrahim Essien, had told Justice Ekwa that the police were planning to present the purported DNA test paternity result procured in violation of his fundamental human right in a criminal charge filed against him before an FCT magistrate court in Abuja. You're watching news at 7 on Western Spring Television, and still to come. NITCAM calls for investigation into death of Nigerian footballer in Uganda. We'll bring you more on these when we return. Please stay with us.